and welcome to another episode of FooBar. In today's video we are interviewing Ory Segal. If you are interested in watching more content about serverless, cloud computing or software engineer practices in general, subscribe to my channel in the red button below. I post a video every Tuesday, so let's get started! This is another video in the series of interviewing amazing serverless reference people. So if you don't know what is this series, I'll leave you a card in here and in the description box to check it out. You should definitely go and check out all my interviews. In this video we are going to interview Ory Segal, that is the CTO and co-founder of Puresec. Ory is an amazing serverless advocate for security and he has a lot of experience in the security environment. I will leave all the information to find Ory and Puresec in the description box below. Let's go to the interview. Hello and welcome to FooBar, and you are my second guest of the day and I'm really happy to have you here. Can you introduce yourself to the audience?
Of course, my name is Ory Segal. I'm the CTO and co-founder of Puresec, a serverless security vendor. What else? I'm from Tel Aviv, Israel.
Cool.
I've been doing application security for a while, 20 years.
Wow!
So prior to founding Puresec, I was 5.5 years at Akamai. As senior director of threat research. I led a team of about 12 security researchers based in Israel that were developing Akamai's cloud security algorithms for the web application firewall, client reputation, bot management product. Prior to Akamai, I was 5 years at IBM, leading the research team at IBM. There I was responsible for a product called AppScan. You heard about it?
No.
It's a static and dynamic analysis product to scan for vulnerabilities in web applications. And I got there through a long series of acquisitions, starting at the end of the 90s at a small Israeli company that I was a part of called Sanctum that invented the world's first web application firewall. We actually had the patent for web application firewall.
That's cool.
And also scanning of web applications.
So you have a long history with security.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I think I need to switch at some point.
Well, I don't know. I think it's a really important topic when you're building applications. So we need more people with experience and know what they're doing, because hackers are always one step in front, if not.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to know, because you started 20 years ago with security, how you got interested in security and which year we are talking, like 98?
97.
Okay.
So in the army, in Israel, everybody has to do army.
Yes.
But in the army, I didn't do anything related to computers. I was a tank commander in the
Okay.
Israeli Defense Forces. But after the army, I started working for a counterintelligence company that, well, I can't really talk about that. And I developed an interesting habit during night shifts. So I started learning to hack. It was the 90s, so the internet was still very free, barely any firewalls. So I developed the skill. And then around 98, I built one of Israel's biggest consulting, like risk consulting companies. I built the first, well, I guess today they call it a red team. Like a pen testing team.
Okay, that's really cool.
Yeah, that's how I got there.
That's really interesting, because I think a lot of people start with playing with this little hacking around and sometimes drop in the middle, but sometimes continue all the way. And
yeah, I still like breaking things, and now we're trying to
breaking
break
things is something
serverless.
from childhood. Like, we all break things when
I
we
could
were
never
little.
fix things, only break them.
Yeah. Our parents are like, oh no, again you disarmed the radio.
Exactly.
So what do you think are the biggest threats for serverless applications nowadays?
People?
People? Yes, that's everywhere.
Yeah, more seriously. You know how they say that it's a interface problem between the chair and the keyboard, right?
User 8, layer 8
exactly,
error.
Exactly. So I think the risks haven't changed. Applications are applications. It doesn't matter if it's serverless architecture or web app or whatever. It's still a lot around trusting user input that you shouldn't be trusting, importing libraries that you don't necessarily know about. Just yesterday we heard about this NPM package that was poisoned as well. What else? Bad design. I think bad design is probably
So
the biggest problem.
If you start with serverless, you don't need to really think about really weird threats. It's just the old ways.
It's different. That's what, last year we published the Serverless Top 10 guide, and if you look at it, a lot of the topics are very familiar. If you came from application security, if you know application security, if you've been educated on that, but there is a twist, and that's the interesting part. Okay. That's also what led us to found Puresec. Yes. The fact that everything we knew until today, or could use tools, products, frameworks for security, just doesn't work anymore.
Okay, why is that?
Because there's no infrastructure, and then so if you want to deploy something, if you want to deploy intrusion prevention system,
you don't have control there.
The only thing you control is the code, which makes it a lot more challenging. So that's one big difference. The other one is the fact that the entry points are different. The way the event-driven serverless architectures are built allows functions to consume data from a lot more diverse sources. So it's not only web traffic where we all know we need to look at parameters and cookies. Suddenly you're talking about MQTT messages and WebSockets and all sorts of events like SQS and SNS. So it's a whole new world of data.
Validate that type of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's cool. So tell me a little bit what Puresec can do for serverless teams and how they can help them.
So the Puresec solution looks at serverless security as more than just, we invented a new type of firewall for serverless. We look at security for serverless as something more holistic. Starting as when you develop software, so part of the solution empowers developers to scan code, detect vulnerabilities, detect whether they're granting too much permissions to functions, which is I've been hearing about that here all day long. So it understands statically, it scans the code, it understands what your function is trying to do by design, what kind of resources it consumes, interacts with in what manner. So for example, it talks to an S3 bucket. Is it reading or writing or both, or deleting or listing? Which bucket? Is it this bucket or that bucket in one account? Once it maps and understands the application, it checks the IAM roles, the permissions, the configurations that you created to detect whether you made configuration errors, too much permissions, you're using libraries that have vulnerabilities in them, and so forth. It also automatically helps developers to mitigate problems. So with a click of a button, it will actually generate a role that is least privileged for your function specifically, which is an amazing time saver.
People start with serverless and they may not have a clue on the roles and permissions on AWS because the barrier of entry in serverless is very low. So learning the roles is something that they don't get to do it until they have some problem maybe.
I keep thinking about it as like a double-edged sword. Yes. So the model, the IAM model, at least in AWS, is I think very, very powerful. I haven't seen anything like that before in traditional applications. On the other hand, you need to learn.
Yes.
You need to know, and when you're calling an API, usually the corresponding permission won't be called the same name. Like it will have different, letter casing and things like that. So sometimes people screw up. So we're there to help them build more resilient functions, packages, applications, so that you can run it as a developer, you can run it as part of the CI to catch things and fail the build maybe and fix the problem.
So it doesn't go in the code package, it's before that.
So that's before. The runtime protection components, that's the second part, is today it's a library that you add to your function, a dependency, the Puresec runtime protection library. And this library, once the function starts running, generates a security perimeter around each instance of the function in the cloud, in the runtime environment. And this protection, first of all, it's fully scalable, so it can scale together. It's attached to each function instance. So it doesn't matter if you have one function running or a million functions running in different locations, in Docker images locally on the developer's desktop. And the first layer of protection is like an application firewall for serverless. We call it like an event firewall. It intercepts the event as the event goes into the function before it goes into your code.
So it grabs before the handler starts.
Exactly. Very good. I thought, I've been explaining it all day long and people don't catch it very quickly. Nice. And so it will classify the type of event, because you can have many different events. It will decode all the different encoding schemes. Some of these events have like zip encoding. Some of them are base64, URL encoding. We will decode them, and it will scan the event for a lot of injection-based attacks, SQL injection, process scripting.
Cool.
I won't bore you with that. So that's the first layer. And the second layer is, once we understand that the event input is legitimate, there's nothing bad about it, we allow the function to start running. And then the library operates more like anti-malware, behavioral prevention kind of thing. So it looks at what the function, what your code is doing in the runtime environment. Is it accessing the file system? Where? Why? In what manner? Is it spinning up new child processes? Is it communicating outbound to the internet?
Is it possible for a function to change its behavior, like to change the code when it comes to some malicious thing from outside?
Of course, you can load code. Maybe somebody like in Node runs eval, and then you can load code that will evaluate the runtime.
That's the second layer helping out.
Exactly. So the second layer profiles and understand what is normal for your code to do based on how you coded it. And then if there are deviations that are malicious in nature, we don't care if it's running a couple more seconds, but if it's trying to do something that's not normal, like communicate outbound to loop data, we were talking about that, or run, I don't know, crypto mining code for some reason, then it will block it in real time.
Okay, that's
and
cool.
Report back.
Because that's one of the things that are scary with Lambda, because it can scale kind of infinite. So if somebody starts hacking inside your Lambdas, then they can get attached to your wallet. And
I think it's a important use case for attackers, like a malicious use case.
Get free computing.
Right. And when we actually talked about it we had a white paper about crypto jacking in serverless architectures, and a lot of people criticized the white paper because it's not entirely new. But I think it's an interesting use case. We managed to actually make some money out of that, just as an example.
That's
it was very cool.
That's cool. So, what is the difference between Puresec and other security plugins? Like, is there something like this? Or?
First of all, we're the best.
I know.
So Puresec was first to market. We founded the company in 2016. So not many people actually knew what serverless is, not to mention serverless security. And since then, we have been publishing constantly new research. We've been, hammering these environments, learning them, understanding what are the risks. Published the first serverless top 10 a year ago.
Because I've been following your company for quite a while.
Following yours.
So, but I know that there are others in the market, and I think the more this serverless world evolves, the more companies will come in the table.
First of all, I hope so, because competition is good. For me, and in the 20 years I've been in the industry, one thing I learned that people like to work with professionals, and in security, you want to trust the security vendor. And first of all, our team is made of the best cybersecurity experts from Imperva and Akamai, IBM, Microsoft, AVG.
That's very important.
Yeah, so we have a team that has a very rich experience in cybersecurity, both from the army and from the from the industry. We've been there first. We've been leading this. We've been patenting the technologies. We've been working very closely with the big cloud vendors. We have very good relationships with both AWS, Microsoft.
So it's a multi-cloud, you're saying?
Yeah. So right now we support in GA AWS, and for Azure we have the beta.
Okay.
And Function Shield, the open library, the free library that we have for developers, also supports Google Cloud Functions as of 2 weeks ago.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, so that's another differentiator. We designed the platform to be agnostic to the environment. We believe that serverless will also be used, obviously, on the edge, on IoT devices.
And even on-prem.
I don't know.
Well, a lot of companies are thinking of putting
their own serverless
things.
Yeah, so it will work. The underlying technology was developed to support all of these environments from the get-go.
That's cool.
It's also cross-language, so it doesn't really care what languages you code in.
You were a visionary when you started this. This thing is so big.
And I can talk about a lot of things like performance. We're talking about as opposed to web application firewalls, for example, that have some more time to, it's a proxy, so it can stop the request.
Here you don't have.
So in serverless, you have to work in millisecond resolution, which forced us to develop our own very low-level code that runs really quickly.
And more when you're interacting with the user, because API gateway will come out. Lambda will run forever. But
so it's an order of magnitude faster than, for example, a web application firewall.
Wow.
So we're talking about a median of 5 milliseconds to apply all of that performance, all of the protections.
That's really important.
So I expect eventually people will shift from using web application firewall to using Puresec, just because of the performance is amazing and the accuracy, our experience in building good security solutions.
Because it's very important when you're facing applications that you need to have the fast. Not you lost the user waiting for your request to respond.
Yeah. And I expect other vendors that will come to have similar technologies, do similar things like profiling functions and applying firewalls. I think at the end of the day, it's about the company, the experience, the expertise.
And things will change so much. I think there's a lot of things happening in serverless, and in that we are seeing a lot of new things happening. Right. So how you see the future of serverless? Dark.
On the contrary. So Puresec as a group, the founders, early on, we're talking about 2 years ago, we had a feeling that serverless will be the future of compute in general and cloud compute.
For me, cloud and serverless will be the same at the future.
Exactly. I really don't, and I keep tweeting about that, and not everybody agrees. But I think that there's really no reason for people to develop backend APIs not using serverless. Why would you want a server or a container or orchestration?
I think in some cases it still makes sense to use servers, but I think it will come soon, that support of having this real-time two sides kind
you
of.
will always have mainframes and you will always have legacy.
But I think the cloud is evolving to beasts 100% serverless, managed service.
It finally makes sense. Like you look at cloud compute before and you look at cloud compute now that you saw serverless and you understand this is what cloud was supposed to be. It's so simple. You get pieces, you bake them together, you put them in the cloud and they run.
So fast. You can build the same application that it took like 1-2 months in maybe 2 weeks or 1 week if you have done it so many times. So it's like
every project that somebody comes to me and tells me I want to build something, I immediately say,
go serverless.
Yeah, why not? Why do you need to SSH into some server? For what reason? Yeah.
So thank you very much for your time and being here with us today.
Thanks.
And I will leave all the links in the description box, and I will ask you for all these white papers that you mentioned.
I'll send you everything.
I can share it with the community. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
This was the video for today. I hope you like it. If you did, give a big thumbs up. I'm really interested to know if you like these kind of concepts of videos, of interviewing people. So thumbs ups are a great way to know if you like this concept. Also, I would like to do a second round of interviews, maybe around the middle of the year. I would love to know who you want me to interview, so leave it in the comment box below. Around here, as always, there are other videos from my channel for you to watch. If not, I see you in the next episode of FooBar. Ciao, ciao!